everyone, this is Janet Wakeland with Remarkably Created, and we are on day 2 of my virtual catalog launch. And what we're doing is we are doing videos every 2 hours on the odd hours, so 9, 11, 1, and then we'll be back at 3, 5, 7, and 9. If you've missed any of the videos, I've numbered them, and you can search for them, you can scroll down for them. If you're on my Facebook page, you can use the media tab or the 3 little dots from your device to look for the word videos, click on videos, and they'll all be there in reverse order, starting with the most current one. So we're showcasing product from this catalog, and I've also been calling this a party, right? And what's a party without giveaways and prizes? So just a reminder to make sure that you're following me, because all of the followers, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, are eligible to win prizes. And the way that you do that is through liking, commenting, sharing, and you'll be eligible. Just make sure that you do that on any of the engagement posts, any of the videos. All of the engagement posts are on my Facebook page, facebook.com/remarkablycreated, and you have until May 20th to do that. So grab a glass of wine, grab a cup of coffee, whatever your favorite tea, whatever your favorite beverage is, and just take your time in the coming week going through all of them. So we're going to be looking at the Wildly Flowering suite of products from page 40 and 41. And while I'm using a paper catalog and throughout the day I'm highlighting the benefits of having a paper catalog in your hands, all of the product plus many, many more products are available in my online store, janetwakeland.stampinup.net. Stampin' Up! Adds 2 new kits every month, and in addition to the 3 print publications, they do bring what we call online exclusives direct to that store. Plus, you're going to get a lot more product detail in terms of dimensions, measurements, and there's a clearance rack for you to check out, some past kit pieces and things like that. And of course, that's going to be the easiest way for you to shop. Just a note though, I understand that not everybody is comfortable shopping online. And if for some reason that is you, you're always more than welcome to email me your order, text me your order, call me your order. You can contact me for details on how to shop that way if shopping directly online is not comfortable for you. So back to Wildly Flowering. This is a great suite for those of you who are familiar with Stampin' Up! Products and who have some of the 2023-2025 in colors, because you're going to find them featured in this paper. Specifically, the artisans give a shout out to Moody Mauve as well as Wild Wheat, but I've also found that you can draw in Boho Blue as well as Pebbled Path. So 4 of the in colors from 2023 to 25 are going to work well with this. You're going to have some really cool frame dies, and I'll showcase those for you. A sweet stamp set and some beautiful papers. As with all of our suites, you have the I Want It All button, which will get you everything that you see, or you can simply order anything individual. Maybe you just want these really cool textured embellishments. Maybe you just want the Dashing Designs embossing folder. Maybe you just want paper. Again, everything's available individually, but if you're tempted, there is the I Want It All button. And bundles have a built-in 10% savings, so if you're buying them together, you do save 10%. So I'm going to keep this handy because we are going to make one of the cards directly from there in a few minutes. So here is your stamp set, and you've got some beautiful stamped images and kind of a little textured image. And then 3 greetings. I'm going to say thoughts because one of them says that. Sending happy thoughts. You've been on my mind, and I like that. I think that we should be sending more cards just because somebody's been on our heart and mind and not for a specific reason. And then thank you. For your dies, you're going to be able to die cut the 4 floral images that are part of this stamp set. So you're going to not have to worry about fussy cutting. You're going to be able to die cut those. Okay, so all 4 images are going to be able to be cut. And then you have these fun dies. And what's really cool about these dies is that with the two largest ones, when you die cut them, you get an innie and an outie. And what I mean by that is you're gonna get the outside, and it also then die cuts the inside. So you have a frame, and then you have another image. You have the outside frame and then another image, and then you have a small little one as well. So you're gonna have lots of possibilities. And here again, you can see that you can die cut those stamped images. In addition, when you are die cutting, you're gonna have lots of texture. You can see the little marks there, so it's gonna cut and emboss. Here you're gonna have your stitches, and then here you have a double row of stitches, and there's that stitch line on the one that gets cut as well. So lots of possibilities with them, and if I hold this up, you might be able to see it. You may see it better on the samples. But again, great sizes to work with. All work great on a quarter sheet of cardstock. This is the Dashing Designs folder. We showed it a little bit last night when we did an entire video just on folders. But just to show you here on gold and silver so you can really see that print. Really nice looking print. Here we've got it on Old Olive ready to create a card base. And then we have it on our new beige cardstock. Okay, so that's part of that set. I hope that these will focus. Let me hold it up for a second and see what the camera is gonna do. Maybe I pull it back. There we go. Hopefully you can see the little bit of texture. These are fairly flat, so you're not gonna need to protect your card anymore with extra padding or anything like that. They are self-adhesive, but they have this really cool textured pattern to them. And you've got two different sizes, so those are fun. Then you have the designer paper, and there are 2 of each print in the pack. I love this because it reminds me of magnolias, and this paper would actually work really, really well with the Magnolia Mood bundle as well too. And that suite of products, mix and match with those papers. My magnolias are finally blooming. I have very late blooming magnolia trees, so it was fun to start to see a few flowers on mine. So here you can see that moody mauve, and I love that white. Let's just go with the print here. You can see the moody mauve again. Wild wheat gives that a really pretty feel. You've got your blues and a little bit of that wild wheat in there. Again, the blues with the wild wheat. And then this will draw in gray granite as well as your pebbled path. So just real beautiful images. And then when we flip it over, you've got some smaller floral prints, 2 tone on tone prints, and then 2 just really kind of solid pieces, but they have the look of linen to them. So real versatile. I've actually used this on several cards already. I love when I have those neutral sides to pick from. I pulled the piece of gray granite just so you can see how well that goes. Mossy Meadow is the predominant green, but you're going to also be able to pull in a little bit of Seafoam and Old Olive. You can definitely see the Moody Mauve. The Misty Moonlight is the darker blue. You've got Early Espresso, and then you've got Wild Wheat. Something that's not part of the suite, excuse me, that I wanted to showcase though, is we do have this twine in the catalog. So the boho blue looks really good with all of the blues. So you're going to have your boho blue, your moody mauve. The pebbled path looks really great with this print. And then we have our wild wheat. So the twines are going to be wonderful to work with. Excuse me. I've been talking too much. Imagine that, right? Let me just take a little sip of coffee, guys. Hold on. That's actually what I need more of. Working in the studio all day doing these videos, it gets cold. So let's look at some samples. So in this case, I kept it really, really simple. And I just stamped black images all over, kind of going for a botanical print. Here's just a small piece of that Dashing Designs embossing folder, just adding some texture. Thank you, some black twine. And then can you see that little bit of white that's added with the white watercolor crayon, just making it pop. if you have a chalk marker, that would also work to add that little bit of white so that there's just a hint of color. And I specifically chose white because those dandelions, they turn to white when you get ready to blow on them and make a wish, right? So then let me bring the catalog in just to show you, again, the value of the catalog, the images. So there's this beautiful card right here. It uses crumb cake, but I didn't think crumb cake went as well with this print. And the more I looked at it, I liked the layout, but I wanted to do it a little different. And as Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, we use this saying called CASE, C-A-S-E. A lot of people are use it as copy and share, copy and stamp exactly, copy and share excitedly. A lot of times I'll call it copy and selectively edit, which is what I did here. I copied the concept and the idea of the frame, the white, the embossed piece in the middle with a little bit of craft white ink rubbed over it, the same greeting, and I just colored the flowers to draw it in. So it's this card turned portrait and just with different colors. So you can use all of the samples in the catalog as a jumping off point for crafting and creating, okay? Then another card, I promised you that each video today, we would use one of the 22 layouts that you're gonna find on page 22 of the catalog. And I keep calling it a catalog because that's what's on the front of it. But the reality is this is really a creative tool. And I showcased a lot of the ways to use it as a creative tool on my video from May 1st that you can find on my Facebook page. But here is one of the layouts that was inspired by the 22 that are down here. So this one just showcasing the 3 different papers, sending happy thoughts. We put a little bit of the twine there, and you've got just one of the little textured elements. So just kind of a nice way to use your designer paper. Nice, straight, easy cuts, and a nice greeting, and you're off and running. So let's go back to our Wildly Designs, and we're going to make a card together. Let me close up my cleanup pad so that I don't get my catalog wet. I'm gonna move it up just a little bit. The card that we're gonna recreate is this card right here. This card uses something that I call tiling. I'm not sure what other people call it, maybe paper embossing, but that gets a little confusing. So it's a technique that every time I see it in Stampin' Up's catalog, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta remember to do that, and I end up copying the card. So I need to remember to do it outside of just copying the card, but we're gonna make this specific card together. So this specific card uses Moody Mauve as your cardstock base, and in this case, you've got 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored in the middle, and then it's folded, and we're gonna be working on that. I've already pre-stamped the greeting. You've been on my mind, and we'll be cutting that down. And I pre-did the little flowers ahead of time, kind of cooking show version. Channeling Julia Childs, I guess, in the studio this morning. But so I've got those cut, and I used just a little bit of blends. The light version, I didn't go into a whole lot of detail just because they're so tiny, but I just wanted a little bit of color to pop. And again, just mimicking the card in the catalog. And then I have the twine ready to go. The other thing that I did was I cut a whole bunch of this shape die, and even some that are not even full ones, just little scrap pieces, okay? And let's grab our adhesive. And looking at this project as best I can, because there are a couple little pieces overlapping it. This goes all the way to the corner, and they do have their points down at the bottom. And then they've left just a hair of a space. Let me move this up so you can see what I'm doing. Just a hair of a space between them so that a little bit of the cardstock pops through. And on a project like this, I definitely like to use liquid glue because it's a little more forgiving. It doesn't adhere the moment you put it down, so I can slide around just a little bit if I need to. So we're gonna put that on. And for now, we are going to let paper hang off the edge. So the card's going to look kind of funny till we trim it up at the end. And the one thing I've learned about doing this technique is that sometimes we try to be exact. Like we want all three of these to fit exactly. Now, if you wanted this centered and these cut exactly, you could slide them over. I'm just kind of following what they did here and just kind of throwing caution to the wind. So, and we're going to take the next one and slide it down in. So you can see how you can use up the scraps. I didn't need a full one. I didn't need it to be pointy up here at the top. I have another scrap for that spot. That scrap one's going to fit in here. Do I have another one that's a scrap? Yep. That one's going to fit. So we're just working them like a puzzle. Somebody mentioned a puzzle on the last video, and I absolutely do love puzzles. So I guess that maybe that's another reason why. But I just love the dimension that this brings. And so I've changed my mind. I am going to cut them just a little sooner than I had planned because I don't want to waste these 3 full ones. So I'm going to cut these. Let's just let these sit here for a second. And we're going to flip this over. And now we're going to take our scissors and we're just going to cut right along the edge of the cardstock using the cardstock as our guide. Definitely going to need to take a little glue gun to my scissor tips when we're all done with that. So the reason why I cut it is because I want these points here that are left and just kind of use them up to cover these little corners here. Okay, so we're going to let that dry for a second. While that dries, I'm going to go ahead and cut down my greeting. And you're going to see that when it was cut out, again, I just used a scrap, so there's not even stitch marks at the top. There's only going to be stitch marks on the points. And again, this is copying right from the catalog. I'm just following their inspiration, and theirs doesn't have any of that on the top either. So we've got our greeting just like that. And this should be ready to be cut. We've got some points we can use with something else. Oh, okay. So can you see that background now? Look how fun that is. With the tiling, it just gives it a whole different look. I'm going to take our little flower thing and we're going to put some dimensionals on it, just on either end. And before I put the greeting on and add the flowers, I'm going to wrap our baker's twine around it. And they've wrapped theirs twice. Let me get a piece of sticky tape. I don't know quite how they did their ribbon, but the way that I'm going to do mine is I'm going to take a piece of sticky tape that is not as wide as the greeting, make sure I'm right. And I'm going to hide the starting point where it's going to end up behind the greeting. And we're going to wrap this once, and then we're going to come back and finish. We'll put the other piece of sticky tape down. So let me just get these taut the way that I want them to be. We can trim them down a little more if we need to. And again, that little piece of sticky tape, and we'll get rid of this little tail. So this is going to be hidden behind the greeting. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my greeting. And I put 2 dimensionals far apart. That gives me a place to tuck the flowers behind it. So I'm going to center that. And now I'm just going to start to add the flowers. I'm going to just put a little bit of glue front and back. And we're just going to start to tuck them in there. And front and back because it'll catch some of the ribbon. It's kind of like filling a flower box. Let's put the lid on that. And again, with that liquid glue, you've got a little bit of time to kind of move things around. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of the twine, tuck it under, and let's just cut a length off. And we're going to make the bow that you see hanging out on the side. So that's this card here. Now, I'm not sure I'm comfortable making every single card in this catalog, but if there are cards in the coming days that you would like to see me make, coming days and months, because this catalog is actually live for an entire year, just go ahead and either message me or comment, and I will be looking for that, and we'll start to maybe make that a weekly post, so a weekly theme or something. Whatever word I'm trying to say, guys, help me out here. I'll go downstairs and get more coffee before the next video. But we'll case the catalog together. So if there's other cards you'd like me to recreate, then we can definitely do that. But this is this card right here. And this is a great use of your shapes dies to get that real pretty tiling look. And you can definitely see that it just gives it a whole nother look. And in this case, we didn't layer smaller. We just kept it the full size of the card. So thank you guys so much for joining.